Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are looking at trend lines, trend line breaks, stuff like that. You're gonna see I do this a little bit differently. So if you have your own way of doing it, by all means use that, it's totally fine. Feel free to comment your method below, that's totally cool. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I am just gonna go forward screen sharing. I'm not gonna be in the full video or anything, but I just wanted to say hi and put a face to a name. I'm gonna link my Instagram below for those who don't already follow me. It's Forex Tips 101. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the rest of the video. Okay guys, so we're getting right into the video. And again, we're gonna look at trend lines. And we're also gonna look at breakouts of the trend line and specifically on the 4-hour time frame. So that's what I'm on right now. And I'm looking at the Euro US dollar, just so you guys know that. I know you guys ask me that all the time, what time frames I'm looking at. Just real quick, let me change this color so it's not red. I don't really like drawing with red. So when I draw trend lines, the first thing I want to tell you guys, trend lines are so subjective, okay? Like there's no right or wrong way to do it. You'll hear people, say that they have the best method or that they like their method best, and that's totally cool. If you have your own way of doing it, by all means, if it's working for you, I'm never going to tell you not to do it. I'm just sharing my way of doing this, okay? So before anyone gets heated at the way I do this, this is just what's always worked for me. So in saying that, the way I look at trend lines and the reason I believe it's so subjective, when we draw a trend line, okay, we only have the most recent data to go off. So if we're looking at this trend here, okay, so when we're looking at this area here, up until this point, all we have to go based on are these two kind of peaks, okay? So we're probably gonna draw our trend line, and forgive my line, but like this. Let me just go back for a second. We're probably going to draw it looking something like this, right? Because we want to include these wicks here, the peaks of these wicks here. However, once we see, like we get a breakout right here, right? We get a new peak here and a new peak here. Well, then if you go back and draw your new trend line, you're probably going to draw it something like this, okay? I know these aren't straight lines, but I'm just erasing them so fast that I'm going to keep using my drawing tool. So you're probably going to draw it like that, which looks completely different than before, right? And then when we get to this point and price has formed these two areas, well, your trend line's probably going to look like that. So you'll notice that it's always changing based on current price, right? Which is why how I've always found it best is to work with areas. So treat your trend lines like support and resistance. So if this is a resistance area here, right? Just like we would when we're working with horizontal lines. This could also be another one, right? Right here, that one we drew in before. We could probably find one around here. We could probably find another one. Let me see our next one. Around here. So you're gonna have, that last one's not very good, sorry. It's really, really messy. But you're getting the point, right? We have these different areas where price has touched and rejected, just like it would with support and resistance. And what you can also do is kind of box these areas in. So if you wanted to, you could actually create a zone, right, around these areas as well. And say, okay, I'm looking for entry within these areas. So that's what I wanted you to note about drawing trend lines, is that they're constantly changing. They're very subjective. And that really, when you're looking at them, it really helps to look at them as kind of support and resistance zones. And that's the only point that I'm getting at there, okay? Going forward, so what I'm going to be looking at next is entering the breakout on a trend line on the 4-hour time frame. So again, we're looking at EU and we have this downtrend here. Okay, so there are a few different ways we could approach it. I'm going to start drawing lines in because they're more neat. I just wanted to quickly show you that stuff before. So let's go back to this example. Okay, so before we ever had a breakout here, so before when we only had these two peaks to work off of. So this is all we have, right? Now looking back, we can see that there's actually a greater trend line here, right? We could incorporate here or we could even go here, depending on what time frame you're looking at and what method you're using. But let's just assume price has only come up to this point. So this is all we have to work with are these two peaks, and trying to include, again, the most wicks as you can. I've talked about that in previous videos, but when I draw a trend line, I like to include as many wicks as possible. Let me try to zoom in here. Okay. What the breakout method entails when we're looking at a trend line, and this is very, very simple stuff. There's nothing overly difficult about this, is entering a trade on the break of that trend line. Okay. So because we're on the 4-hour chart, we don't need to go down to the 15-minute chart to find entry. It depends on your style. If you're a day trader, yeah, you might want to do that because your risk reward is going to be a little bit smaller than if you're, say, a scalper or a position trader. For me personally, I wait for the 4-hour candle to close. So when looking at this trend line, we'd want to be entering, and I'm going to really try to zoom us in here now so we can get a good look at this, because I know it's difficult for you guys to see. Okay, so I'm really zooming in on that. So here we didn't get a very strong break. I'll just tell you that, right away. We didn't get a very strong break. However, if we were using a zone here, which is what I just spoke to you guys about, oops, thought that was the eraser. If we were using a zone here instead of just the line, and this is why zones are so powerful, we could wait for that stronger breakout, okay, which is this guy here. Because when you trade a breakout, guys, like, you don't want to be trading with small bodied candles like this. Even like medium size, that's a little bit bigger than I anticipated, but you really don't you want to get a nice strong candle, right? Like you want, and why do we look for that? Because this is telling us, guys, that buyers are taking control, right? That's what that candle means. And we always have to step back and say, okay, what is price action telling me? If we're seeing a bunch of consolidation here, which we are, right, within this zone that I drew, hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing with my mouse there. This is just indecision, and it goes back to yesterday and what I spoke about with these, long wick candles, with these, small bodied candles, and prices just bouncing between the high and the low there of that period. So you really want to wait for a nice strong break. Okay. Now in this case, had you taken this, you would have had to ride it out for a bit, obviously. So let's just go over and let me erase all this. Okay. So if we go over here, we're going to see, so had you taken this breakout, depending on, your stop loss surely should have been below this trend line. Let's just extend it, right? So it was probably down here. You would have had to wait a little bit because it did keep bouncing back at that same trend line. And then it eventually would have given you a bit of a push up. So you could have entered there and you could have rode out. Now, this is not a strong trend, so you would have been riding this quite a bit to get a decent risk reward, depending on what you're doing. If you're a day trader or a scalper, you might have just taken this and rode up to this level here. So it depends on what you're doing, of course, okay? I'm just hauling random examples, so we're not going to always get the best trade opportunity when I'm looking at random examples, but we'll definitely try another one. And actually, let's just do this one here, the one right next to it. So like if we're looking at this here, okay, by the way, I know I say okay a lot. I get that a lot. I don't know why I do that. Okay, so if we're looking at this area or this trend line, I forgot to turn my notifications off, I'm sorry. So again, I try to include as many wicks as possible when I'm drawing my trend line. So I'm going to probably keep it about here. And then what I would do personally is draw a zone around this. So right away, because price never respects, a level, this isn't going to be neat. I'm sorry. I even have a pencil now and it's still just, drawing's not my forte, I guess. So I would have a zone there, maybe not that big. Let's go back. It wouldn't be that big, but just, keep in mind that I would have a little zone around there. But we could trade at the breakout, okay? Now the breakout of your zone, depending on how you drew it, could be, and I'll show you another tool you can use, but I hate this tool. It's this one here. So it's I think it's called the parallel channel. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Yeah. I don't like it because it's really hard to make it, whoops. No, this is not what I wanted. See? It's a pain in the butt. this is what I wanted. It just doesn't really go at, okay, no, this is just not working for me. Why are you doing this? Maybe this is not what I wanted. Hang on, guys. Why are you not doing what I want? Okay, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. So, oh, there we go. Okay. This tool here, I don't use these a lot, as you can probably tell, but this is another tool you can use, okay? The reason I don't like it is it's not very like user friendly. Ignore the parallel channel that I just told you about. And it just, yeah, I just don't like it as much. Like I like to draw in my zones by hand, just so I can actually like really see. Not when I'm doing normal horizontal zones, I'll do a whole video on that. Of course, I'll use the rectangle tool, but this just isn't encompassing what I want it to. It's like just a straight line. You can't really like move it and stuff like that. So yeah, this is not my favorite tool, but you can use it if you have a hard time drawing it in. So I just wanted to show you that. So yeah, once you draw a zone, we're waiting for a breakout, right? And this breakout entry is a little bit better. So I'm going to zoom in. And I will draw in where that zone would be again. Now that we're zoomed in. So I'm just going to draw, I'm not going to draw the full thing because it's really difficult, but let's say it was about here, okay? We're going to wait for a breakout of this zone. And it could be this guy here, or it could be this guy here, depending on, you know, how you drew your zones. Zones, again, are subjective. But you're waiting for a nice long-bodied candle, and it's just breaking structure. When you're trading the breakout, it really doesn't matter what structure you're breaking. Like we can look at zones, we can look at support and resistance, we can look at trend lines, which is what we're doing in this video. But all of these things are just structure, okay? So once they're broken and you get a breakout, this is gonna be the easiest method to find a nice trade. And the stronger the trend, going back to momentum like we discussed yesterday, and I can link that below, it's going to give you a better entry. So that's really it, you guys. I am going to stop there because I tend to blab on and just talk too much. But if there's something you want to know about this method in particular, I can make another video. I don't like talking too much in one video because it just gets too long. Some things like I could look at, if you want to comment below, we can look at like placing your stop loss. We can look at confirmations, because all of these things go into a trade, right? So anything like that you want me to cover, just let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to do it. I'm doing 30 videos this month, so I'm doing a video a day. It's a little challenge I made for myself, so I can pretty much cover anything you throw at me. So put it in the comment section and I'll be reading all of them. I think that's it for this video. I'm going to do, I believe, the COT report next. So that should be an interesting one. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.